Embodiment Q&A. Hi there. I'm Lyndon Thorpe. If you're here for the first time, welcome. Great to have you. We're here every Friday at 9 a.m. GMT. And we talk about embodiment, nothing more. So it's great that you're here. And today we're going to continue on from our discussion last week. And I'll bring Ebby Sheila onto the stage now. Here she comes. Oh, she's just watering the plants, I think. She'll be here in a moment. We're going to carry on from last week. We're going to be talking about listening signals. So, as you know, this series is all about non-verbal communication. Oh, there you are. There she is. Hi.
Hi. I forgot my camera was off.
There you are. So yes, we're just going to carry on from last week because we had too much material as usual. I'm not very good at, I want to teach the world, in one session. But we didn't finish. So we're going to go through things again. And I'm hoping Christina Vidovic will join us. She said she would. And so she can enter into the conversation when she arrives. So, yeah, our topic really is listening signals. Now, as you know, I'm a signal literacy person. I'm presently writing a book, which is called The Inner Eye of Leadership, which is all about these signals that we are just not getting, many of us. And that's the cause of burnout, mostly. And once we start to connect or reconnect with our true selves, we start to get all sorts of signals, and life becomes very different. So let me share my screen, and we'll just take a look back, do a little revision of what we did last week. Okay, just let me start with my screen. Okay, so now what's happened here? Yes, I have to change. Okay, so last week, I'll just disappear and put these onto the slides. We talked about listening signals in meetings. And the idea is that a listener is not just a pair of eyes. It's because the body is constantly signaling. We know a little bit about all the systems that the body has, the respiration system, the endocrine system, the lymph system, all of these different layers or systems. And all of these systems give out signals. So the body is constantly signaling that it is present. And so if we're rushed, or we're trying to make room for something, this can become a problem. Established research and communicative practice suggests that people do not only listen with the eyes, absolutely not. They listen with timing, posture, breath, response, quality, and the way they let another person continue on. My Lodestone product brings back whole body listening, which means cleaner attention because it's the whole body is involved, less rushing, and meetings that feel safer and more precise. And here we are. Let's just go on to the second slide. This is a series we've been running now for 8 weeks. Listening signals really matter in meetings. People decide before you open your mouth whether they want to continue with you, whether they're going to work with you, whether they like you, whether they fit with you, long before you speak, long before you speak. And in meetings, the problem is often not lack of intelligence, but really the quality of the interaction. and the lack of visible reception. So, yes, I often talk to people on camera who are just not with me at all. They're busy trying to find their notes or trying to find something to show me. They're just not present at all. So it's the lack of visible reception, really. And we're not very good at receiving nowadays. We transmit. We get on to transmit, and nothing stops us. Not even that, a colleague really has something important to say that perhaps really complements what we are saying. No, we haven't got time to listen. So trust is important. Pace, orientation, response time, and really showing whether the speaker is being received. Now, if you're on camera or with microphone, it's important not to keep making noises with your mouth. It's better to keep silent, but you can nod. And remember, the skull and face, they have over 10,000 different orientations to use to express themselves. So we don't have to speak. We can just move our heads, change our expressions, and we're communicating. Continuation. Visible listening invites elaboration. If we're really listening, then we can really cue into the conversation. And if you're not listening, then people start to move away. They start to retreat, retract. And that's not good in human interactions. And performance. When listening feels real, people contribute earlier, clarify faster, and defend less. So basically, a person who feels heard usually becomes more specific, and a person who does not feel heard either performs, withdraws, or repeats. Maybe Sheila, any comments so far? Are you listening?
No, I am. I am listening, and I remember about so while we're listening, the body signals, while listening, signals matter.
Yes.
So, like you said, the leaning forward. We don't always, especially when we're on camera, we don't always have to make a noise, which we would do face to face. But on camera, we can nod, we can lean forward, focus, concentrate. So listening, I think, is a very important thing. I think a lot of times we interpret listening as hearing, which is different because you can hear the words, but if you're not listening, you're not picking up on the non-verbal signals, which is most of our communication. So somebody's speaking to you, hearing the words, and I guess this is one of the reasons why there's usually a breakdown in communication. But if you're not reading and you don't have rapport with the person you're talking to, you can misconstrue what the person is trying to tell you, because obviously, because we are all from different backgrounds, a certain sentence might mean different to me than it does to you. So if we're not truly listening, we miss it. But when we're listening, then we can ask questions too. Whereas if we're not really listening, we might miss it. So if we're thinking about being defensive or what answer we're going to give, we might miss a valuable question that we can ask that will clarify what the other person was saying.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know about you, but many of the conversations I have, if people are not really listening, there are no good follow-on questions. And they're not spontaneous. Maybe many people just plot everything out. They're using a script very often when they're talking on camera. And I never do that. I use maybe slides like this, which guide what I'm saying. But I'm truly present so that I can ask spontaneous questions. I don't need to script them. They come naturally from what I'm listening to. So I can always tell if someone's not really present because there are no spontaneous questions. And
Can I pick up on that before you move on?
yes,
Because that's a very good point that you've just brought up, because that's what I've been doing. So I guess because of the nerves and the lack of trust, self-trust, I script. And you're right, because when you script them, you're not really paying attention
no,
to what the
no.
other person is saying.
Yeah.
But I'm learning now to. I'm still scripting just in case, because I'm not 100% trusted myself.
Oh,
But on the other hand, I've improved in that I am following up from what the person is saying rather than
excellent.
checking out on the scripting questions. So listening, and then the questions just come naturally, like you said. They
Yeah,
just come naturally in your head.
they do. And especially if you're interested in the topic. And it's not a question of trying to get so many points into the conversation, it's
True.
not a productivity hack, it's a conversation. And that means we have to really respect our opponents and, make them feel safe. That is always my consideration when I'm talking to people on camera. They're probably already nervous. They're probably, feeling it's impossible to relax, maybe on camera. But
you said the word safe, to make them feel safe. And I think that, first of all, if you don't feel safe in yourself, and that's probably part of the problem, you're not feeling safe in yourself. So it's like you said, that inner work coming. So feeling safe and trusting that you will not make a mistake. And there's nothing like making a mistake anyway. Just let it flow and listen. And if you listen, the questions will surely come, which is where the fear is. Because again, it's based on fear. And we have talked about fear before. It's funny how everything just connects with each other. So that fear of not being able to follow on the questions, my mind's going to go blank. So release the fear and it will come.
Yeah, it's really interesting you mentioned fear. Yes, we haven't really talked about fear, but there's so much of it around. And I think people do have this kind of real frisson about going blank. But I mean, how can we go blank if we're really present?
And that's the thing.
I mean, it's
You
an
can't go
indicator,
blank if you're really
really, isn't
present.
it?
Yeah. Yes, that's amazing. Yeah, and it's just dawned on me. It's all, and we find that most of the negative things we do is all based on fear. So you're probably thinking fear of failure, fear of making a mistake, fear. Yeah, but if you're present, then there's no need to have the fear. And if you're present, funny enough, when you're present, the fear does go away anyway, naturally.
Yeah. I don't know what it feels like to feel that kind of fear because I'm always myself.
I
And
do.
I know. And that's why it's so great that you're courageous enough to tell us about that, because we can learn from it. But yes, I remember many times on past episodes, I've created lots of questions for you to look at beforehand. And then when I start to see you and start to interact, they go completely out of the window. And you say, hey, I've not prepared that. But that's what happens to me when I start to really cue into people and, pick up their non-verbal signals. I want to do something different that doesn't fit into the preparations I've made. I want to be spontaneous because I'm getting a lot of heart energy from them, or a lot of fear from them, or whatever. And so the questions just don't fit anymore, So spontaneity is really important thing, I think. And it's really interesting we mentioned this because teaching foreign performers of English has been, such an amazing journey for me. And I've really worked with foreigners all my life as a teacher. And basically, what they don't have is little chunks of speech that come naturally. In other words, they don't have to prepare, they don't have to read anything. And so a lot of my teaching gave my students those chunks so they can say them anywhere, anytime, and they can say them fully from the heart. Look into the camera, not search for a note to read, because reading is not being present, you know. And so, yeah, it's quite a good idea to have these little formulaic chunks of speech that you can say to maybe play for time while you think about, what you want to say, what you really want to say, before it becomes clear. So you may say, "Oh, this is really so interesting. I'm so glad we're talking." You will flather on a bit to lead you to a space where you can actually then say what you mean. So there are many techniques we can use to improve and get rid of that kind of fear of spontaneity and being thrown in the deep end, as some people describe it. So, yeah, I think once we really experience being present and really listening, perhaps to someone we trust, and perhaps that's automatically a sign that we can be ourselves and be spontaneous, then the whole mood of the interaction changes, and people gradually become present. So, yeah, really important. So, yeah, when we are feeling heard, in other words, when we do have full attention from someone, then we really start to become more specific, because it opens up our inner store of knowledge, of experience, and so on. It's like a lever, it opens it up. And so we can really then start to go into detail, and hopefully the opponent will ask really good questions like, why have you done that? Or what led you to do that? And then we can go even deeper into our store of knowledge and experience. So I think, yes, trust is important. And
I see you've got performance on there.
mm,
And I'm just because I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and she was talking about so we got onto the topic of burnout, which is a great passion of both of ours. And again, when we're always trying to perform instead of like you said, being present and listening, it works negatively with our nervous system, which then drives it into the fear or flight mode. And so with time, because you're in a flight or fright mode, that's the stress on the body, isn't it? And we don't realize how it's like we work like clockwork, kind of. Everything is connected. And you don't realize that this not listening, something so simple like listening, I'm not saying it's easy, because we have been trained to hear as opposed to listen. And we talk about this, they tell us about listening all the time, but we're not really taught about true listening in the Western world. And maybe all over the world. I don't know. I can't talk about that. But so when we're not listening and we're always trying to perform the performance to impress or to give our points across, that's affecting our nervous system, which then drives it into the flight or fright mode. So you're back into stress again, which is the biggest killer. So there's all that connection. So this is really great that you're pointing this out.
Thank you. It's so good that you pointed out too. That's excellent. Yes, absolutely. It's all connected. It really is. And yeah, I think there's nothing better than someone who's really listening. If you take yourselves back, LinkedIn members, YouTubers, take yourself back to when you were a child, and hopefully your parent or parents read you stories as you fell asleep. This is glorious, I think, to be able to fall asleep listening to a story that somebody tells. Now that quality of listening, that suspension of disbelief. So a child will suspend disbelief and enter into the story 100%. And so their listening is absolutely 100%. And they're moving with that story. That quality of listening is something we need to emulate, so that maybe if we agree to talk to somebody online or on a podcast or whatever, and they decide to tell a long story, instead of looking at the watch in a worried way, thinking, when am I ever going to get my points in? Then if you give your full attention to that speaker and you really listen, then your points will come up in your questions. If your points are already well integrated into your body, then you can ask those, put those points across in the form of questions. And in a way, that's more effective than just speaking about something. So I think Socratic.
Before you move on again, sorry. Before you move again, you bring up such valuable points, and I just want to miss it. So you talked about like being on an interview, and I had this experience recently where I think the interviewer was, I don't know, maybe she has a time session or whatever it is, but then I started talking, and then she stopped me and she said, "Oh no, we don't have much time. I didn't want you to go so deep into it." And that for the rest of that podcast, unconsciously, I felt dampened.
Yeah.
I didn't feel. I kind of felt, oh, it's all rushed now.
Yeah.
And so my whole chemistry of the whole event kind of changed, because what she could have done maybe is to cut it out or find a way to do it, but it doesn't even matter if it goes longer. But I think she has this strategy of it's a 15 minutes thing, and so it has to be 15 minutes, and maybe putting a timeline on things like that, or maybe having a conversation before it's only, let's just, so yeah. So, I mean, I love your points, because when you're bringing in your points, I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's a good one to pick up on.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. I think many people who run podcasts are just not experienced enough to see that, if your plan goes awry, what the hell? I mean, you are talking to a human being, and this human being has had the grace to come and join you on your podcast. And so I think the least we can do is go with our guest, and of course, in the past, you and I have had problems with that, with our when we started out, because I should have stepped in there and tried to stop things going out of hand. But I was just being very polite and treasuring my guests, So yes, we can get fixated on our plans and forget the respect and the value of having a real human being in our attention atmosphere for that time, no matter how much time it is. So yeah, I think it's really important to become skilled at not just judging time, but being able to let go of what you might have planned and do something quite different. And
I like those two words, let go and human being.
Yeah, this is...
Because I think we're forgetting that we are human beings, and the listening, let it come naturally. It doesn't, I know these days we are rushed for time, but maybe allow for that time, and you don't have to get all your questions in. I think
No.
that's another thing too. We want to get so much, pack so much in. Like last week, we had so much, didn't we? And we only ended
Yeah,
up talking about two things, which
yeah,
was good. It's better to talk about two things and
yeah,
people
deeply.
get those two things and talk
Yeah,
about 10 things and they get nothing because there's so much in it. Yeah.
yes, I totally agree. Yeah, we need to be adaptable. We need to, adapt to the timing and so on. And of course, technical problems that might crop up. We need to adapt. And, it is said that people become less adaptable as they get older. But I have to
That's
say,
not true.
no. And
Not true.
Margaret Barry. Margaret Barry is a fantastic guest because she completely adapts, and she's
Mm.
getting on for 90 now.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, she is amazing. She's very lively and adaptable, and she just moves with the flow, at that age. So nothing to do with age. Let's
No,
shoot that in the head for a start off. It's nothing
it's
to do with it.
nothing to do with age. Yeah.
No. So yeah, I think that if you don't feel heard, that's a problem. And
Hmm.
I have actually said that to people. I've actually said, I'm sorry, I don't think you're really queuing into what I'm talking about.
Mm.
Didn't feel you were getting my points, and I try to clarify with them. And
Mm.
very often it's the case. They're not really with it, not really with the topic. So I think we should remember that we have other ways to contact these people. So very often, if we haven't covered the points we want to cover, at the end, we simply say, well, we've got to stop now, unfortunately. Well, let's have a second part next
Mm.
week, or let's continue by comment on a post. There are many other ways we can continue on and get our points across, I think. So, yeah, when we're listening, we need to show that we are truly listening. And for me, people talk about presence. Well, I think it's the listening side of a conversation that really shows me if someone is present or not. So we can gauge it from that, I really feel. So let's just move on to the next slide. Any more points on that one, Ebby?
No, this is amazing. I mean, we've spent time long, but that's really great for what we've been able to talk about in terms of the
Yeah,
trust, performance, and continuation. So
yes,
no, I think we can ask
you're okay with
questions
that.
in the comments if.
Okay. So yeah, just remember that visible, let's call it visible listening. People know you're 100% there. Well, it leads to elaboration. It leads to very different things than just plowing through on a time schedule a number of questions. That what's the point of that? We have to show our humanity, especially now with AI. And the best way we can do that is to listen gracefully and appreciatively, and throw the schedule away if needs be, I feel. Great. Okay, let's just move on to the next slide. So this week I've been thinking a lot about reception. Established wisdom treats listening as multimodal. It's not one magic gesture, but a bundle of signals working together. And so there are two things. There's performative attentiveness, okay, where we are performing, but we're pretending to be attentive. So maybe we've got a fixed stare, or maybe we've kind of arranged our face in a certain way and are sticking with it. Or maybe we're nodding on autopilot. we're jumping in too early, and I certainly have experienced that. You have too. People jumping
Yes,
in and saying,
I remember.
I must comment. I must comment.
I remember when I was in corporate, one of the things they taught us when I did something on listening skills, and they were saying, you need to nod. So they're telling you all these things, but yeah, and maybe that's why you see a lot of people doing that because they've been told that shows you listening. But what they fail to tell you is that, yeah, if you're nodding an autopilot, it comes up because the energy comes across to the other person that you're just doing it because it's like ticking a box as opposed to feeling it. It's all from here. Because when you're
Yeah.
feeling it in here, your natural will come. Is it this? Is it nodding? Different, whatever suits you will come. Your natural will come to you. And yeah, so it just bringing up back so many memories of the training skills, of communication skills. You have to do this. Yeah.
Great to know. Great to know, because all that is changing. It has to change. And I feel we're on the crest of a wave now with embodiment. Companies now need to seriously adopt this approach. So great point, Abby. Thank you. Yeah, jumping in too early makes a lot of friction. It's not a smooth conversation. And in a way, it's desperation. We're desperate to show we understand. But why not wait and let our faces show that? The glint in our eye, the smile, why not let our presence show that rather than having to pin it down with words and interrupting the flow? Yeah, back channeling is a big problem too. People use that to control the pace. And yeah, really, the body is way ahead of all that, way ahead. Some of the best conversations I've had have been not planned, completely unscripted, body to body, energy to energy. And it's like the energies dovetail, the eyes thread each other together. There's a huge kind of connection with the person we're speaking to. And it's effortless. It's inspiring and effortless. And this really is what we need, how we need to be. Embodied listening, on the other hand, is much softer. We're more compassionate towards the speaker. We express that with our faces, with our hands maybe too, and our smiles. Some vocal signals, but bearing in mind microphones, very minimal, because this will interrupt the recording of the voices. Jaws, shoulders, and hands not held tightly, really showing a bodily relaxation and being at peace. Pausing. People are terrified of pausing. They feel they've got to fill every single second. It's an acquisitional approach to interaction. It's like commodities, it's like getting the cheapest price for something, or, putting as much as possible into your bag, Pausing is really a lovely way to show your attentiveness, and just very graciously letting the other person continue and enjoying it. And yeah, your responses, rather than reaction, and this is a revelation for some people. I've interrupted conversations and said, hey, you're reacting, you're not responding. What's the difference? Well, the difference
what is the difference?
Yeah, good question. Well, the difference is that when we react, it comes from the limited mind. It comes from, this doesn't fit, or this fits with my mindset. and we want to acknowledge that, or we want to refute it. So it's very pushy and bullyish, and it comes from the limited mind. Responding comes from the heart. You don't want to gain anything. You want to receive fully what this person is offering you. And that's why I say that I've been really thinking so deeply about reception. Many people are just not receiving anything. They've cut themselves off. So you see, the unlimited mind is the one that receives. The heart receives, the nervous system receives, and it's sincere. We can sincerely say, yes, I really agree with this. I'm responding. I'm not desperate to make what that other person is saying fit with my mindset. So egocentric. And so, go ahead.
You've used the words embodied listening, and I think the thing that we've kind of been brought up with is the word active listening. And we talked about language, because
True.
I think, again, when you say active listening, maybe the unlimited mind is seeing some sort of like forceful action, right? As opposed to embodied listening, which is thinking the whole body. So that as you start talking about that just came to my mind straight away, that that language of you saying, oh, you have to do an active listening. You kind of feel you have to do something.
Yeah. A good point. Good point.
Yeah,
yes.
Subconsciously.
Yes.
Yeah.
With embodied listening, you don't need to do anything. That's it's a really good point. With performative listening and attentiveness, you're doing from the mind. I've got to get this in. I can't wait till this sentence is finished because I've got to get this in now. It's desperate. It's dramatic. Embodied listening is so soft, and there's no rush. There's no desperation. And it's so much nicer to be around than this kind of pushy listening. I'm not saying the points aren't taken in some way they are, but very intellectually, by the intellect. And we've all experienced the intellectuals who are damn certain that they are right, that they are the only person who really knows the answers to this question, blah, de, blah. And they are desperate to cut in and, disabuse everyone of their poor ideas. Awful, I think. But that's what the limited mind can do when it's really totally out of control.
So would you say the limited mind, and I don't know what you think about the ego. We do need our egos, and our egos are important. But when it overrides, that's when it becomes an issue, isn't it? So would you say, like, in terms of the limited mind and that sort of behavior, we have probably got to a stage that we're allowing our egos, because we are allowing it to. We might not be consciously doing it, but we are allowing the ego to take forward in that, okay, yeah, we want to get our points in, okay, we want to back channel, okay, we want to say we're right.
Yeah. And maybe we want a promotion, or we want, to become the chairman or whatever in a work setting. And people are so wrong when they think that the more words we push into a conversation or even an interview, the more likely we are to be chosen or to be promoted. Completely wrong. Nowadays, especially, I think, people who are in a position to hire other people are looking for something completely different. They're looking for a compliant energy, an energy that collaborates well, an energy that realizes that combined effort within a team will push competitiveness forward in a
Is
team.
this real though? Because that has always been in that on paper, yes, they always want like teams you need different people in the teams. But the reality is that is this really what's happening? Because if you don't understand embodiment yourself, how can you produce embodiment? If you know what I
Mm,
mean. So on
mm.
paper, so is it again another tick box exercise? Is it really happening? Is my question. I don't know.
Well, I'm hearing some places it's happening. I've been talking to people this week about play. My
Mm-hmm.
theme has been play, as you know, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been talking to executive game creators, um, and uh, it seems that with executive games, once people start to relax and realize they're in a different world that the game has built, there's a different world plan, they start to relax and become embodied. And there are very different results. So I think it is happening.
Great, that's amazing.
It's wonderful. It,
Mm-hmm.
it is beginning to happen,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still very young and it's in
Early days.
days. And with Lodestone inside, then, yeah, we are looking at companies that are not that far ahead yet. And it is much needed that people experience embodiment because remember, it's not a concept. Um, Most people think it's a concept, but it's experiential. And once you've experienced it and the shift, however small it might be, that happens during that experience, then you move to a different place altogether. So, yeah, it is happening in small doses with play by introducing play into companies. And this is going to be very much part of Lodestone Inside because, yeah, we need to be less serious. We need to be
So
much more relaxed, I think, in life,
yeah,
business
when
wise.
you talk about introducing play, does that mean, because I know like is that like is helping you connect with your inner child? Is that what that's all about? So
Yeah,
therefore you get trust and you get more relaxation and
yes.
you're then able to be you.
Yes, there's a fabulous book called Homo Ludens, which I read when I was in my 20s. It's a pretty old book now, but it's excellent for it. Just it's called Play, and this book really goes into how play far preceded work. 30,000 years earlier than the work ethic. So in the timeline of mankind, yeah, play came first. And so we need to go back and play. And, yes, the child, if we look at a child, an average child, not a special needs child, but an average child, we will see incredible engagement. It's so inspiring to see them entering into a game they've created, which they often do all the time, new
Mhm.
games all the time. They are 100% involved and engaged. They get such pleasure from it, even if they're the only player, you know. Um, and we all can do that. But we've lost that sense of the child. We've lost the sense of the freedom that children have usually. We're so burdened by all the responsibilities of being adults. And it doesn't have to be like that. It really
Mhm.
doesn't. So, yes, we're definitely moving in that direction. And for me, as a writer, I have to say that one of my greatest pleasures is building a new world, a fictional world in a book, in a novel, and watching people engage with it, leaving their old world of burdens and responsibilities behind and escaping into a brand new world. So
Imagination.
yeah, world building is such an important skill going forward. It really is. Yeah. So yeah, we can see here that these are very different ways of listening. And the point is really of all this not to just look attentive and perform it, but to make it easier for the speaker to stay coherent. If you are genuinely attentive and immersed in their ideas, it's the greatest possible compliment you could pay them. And the intellectual points don't matter by comparison. That
True.
that coherence is what matters. And that's what we're not seeing today. And we're seeing burnout as a result because people are not coherent, they're not clear, and they're under the misapprehension that clarity comes from the intellectual mind. Never, does not. Comes from the body, comes from the spirit. So I think this is a really important point when we talk about visibility and ethical visibility, which we've mentioned a lot. If you're playing at being attentive, then it will end in tears. It will. Your opponent will detect it long before you speak. And the trust between you will be broken. So
So I think, sorry.
yeah, no, go ahead.
So intellectually, I think most people are coming from a good place. But I think from the unlimited mind, it's probably like you said, it's probably we're trying to prove something because they come. It's like you want to get all these points in because maybe you want to be seen as an expert, or you just want people to experience what you've experienced. But that's really not our place. Our place is to give the information in a coherent way, and it doesn't matter if we don't get 10 points in. If we get 2 points in, that's fine. So I mean, I don't know what's going on with us, but maybe like you said, maybe it's because of the stress we have, or we forget play as we turn into adults. We forget that being present, being creative. Because like with children, when I grew up in Africa, they would have nothing, but they would build like a cart or something out of nothing, out of boxes and things. They'll find an abandoned wheel somewhere, and they build a car, out of nothing. And it's like, where has that all gone? As we grow up, we kind of lose that fun, that play. So really excited to hear about your gaming and how that all will work, because I think if we are able to get something that will take us back in there, and we can relax the nervous system, we can be more productive in the workplace.
Yes, absolutely. It's the way forward. And it's now pretty well researched that when people play games, they switch off and they go into a very different place. There's a lot of joy, there's a lot of laughter. People want to, they may role play, they may get angry, sham anger, that might be part of the game. But basically, it's a game, so it doesn't matter, But if we go back into real life, everything matters, and that's why games give us meta experience. So we experience something at the side of our lives, which throws light on our lives in a really unconscious way. So it's like reading a novel. A novel can have a profound effect on you, but you probably can't pin it down. Something has changed from reading this story, but you probably can't put into words what it is. Well, that's the unlimited mind. And that's the unlimited mind responding to a different world. So you're leaving that, your real world, if you want to call it that, behind. And the relief people feel is tangible, I think. Yeah. So, yes, games are going to become really important for Lodestone Inside. Just moving on, we're doing quite well for time. I think Christina can't join us. I haven't heard from her, but that's a shame. She'll come next time, hopefully. I'll just check my messages to see if she's got a problem. No, she hasn't. Okay, so let's move
Maybe
on.
timing, time
Yeah.
zones.
Well, it's very early in the morning for her. So let's just move on to the next point, which is whole body listening, which we talked about before. Yeah, we can maybe feel satisfied that if we're making eye contact, people will think we're attentive. Not true. No. We read the
I'm
whole
glad
body.
you said that. I'm glad you said that.
Because if you are only focusing on your eye contact, you are probably staring. The eyes are not moving. There's no light in your eyes. And so it doesn't replace whole body listening at all. So, you know, when I'm listening to people speak, I really feel it in my feet, in my knees. You know, I can feel the vibrations of what they're saying all over my body. And my spirit is lifted, inspired, moved to action, maybe, moved to a further interaction or a comment or an email. And so whole body listening gives us a different quality of response to the speaker, which can move us into making a really deep relationship with that person and trust. Recently, I put out a post about Your Body is Your Business Plan, the masterclass, the cycle 5, which has just finished. Don't know if you saw it. I don't think you have yet. But the responses were fantastic from all the co-hosts. They said things like, "Oh, Lyndon, you are so generous and it's so comfortable and so safe. And I feel I can really open up and we have fun and you're funny," and all this kind of thing, you know, because I don't push people. I let them open like flowers, you know, and it's an enjoyable experience. So that's because I'm very present and listening with my whole body. So remember, when you're speaking in a group or in a podcast, the opponent and the audience are reading your whole field. They'll be checking your breathing, checking your shoulders to see if they're tight, checking your facial muscles. Yeah. But it all goes on in silence, unconsciously, in the unlimited mind. Remember, the body is giving out signals 100% of the time. And if we learn to read those signals, we become really good communicators. So let's just look in detail. The eyes. Well, if you want to really bond with the person you're speaking to, soften them and widen them. Don't stare at the speaker and pin them down. Okay, really move around and keep your eye contact very soft. Jaw. Yeah, if you set your jaw very stiffly, it shows you're not receiving. There's something else going on. And the speaker will detect that. Okay. Shoulders. Yeah. Drop shoulders are less defensive. Torso. Turn toward the speaker. Yeah. Make sure you're facing the speaker and don't mess about with angles, because photographers say you should, you know, move your body to the side and look ahead over your shoulder. Well, Shogunai, that doesn't reassure your opponent at all. So, you know, make sure you're facing your speaker. Yeah, use your hands, show them in the camera lens. put them together occasionally, so that you're showing respect. And finally, your breath. A held breath is often the first cue that listening has collapsed. So we're watching, we're all watching. Gaze, breath, shoulders, and unconsciously, you will turn off from that speaker if you're not able to see uh, these reassuring things. So, yeah, just be careful on camera because framing can often hide the lower body signals and it can exaggerate your eye behavior. It's really important to keep moving your eyes around. And always coming back to your focus, which is the other person's eyes, moving from the camera, maybe on top of your screen or to the side or whatever, and coming back to center of the screen to your opponent's eyes. Keep moving around, keep soft. And yeah, if you're in a hybrid meeting with some people live and some people face to face, then that's another skill, pacing and pausing, and giving time for verbal reflection is really important. So, Ebby, any questions there?
Not really a question, just an observation. So you've talked a lot about the benefits to the speaker, and I just want to talk a lot the benefits to the listener. I want to talk a bit about the listener because I think by whole body listening, as a listener, you're taking in the energy and you're getting more of the information. So you're getting all of the information. So you're not just hearing the words that are coming in, but you're actually embodying everything and really understanding the subject or the topic that is being presented, which is really important because that's why you're there anyway in the first place, to be able to take in what the other person is saying. So while it's a benefit to the speaker while you're listening properly, but it's more of a benefit to you as the listener because you're feeling calm, you're feeling peace. You're not feeling, because sometimes you can have the anxiety because you want to get your point across, or you want to ask a question without listening, so you're not feeling all that, you're not feeling the pressure. And so again, coming down to the nervous system is more relaxed. So looking at the long term, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, if we're always embodied in our listening, we're doing whole body listening, that will help, a big contributor to well-being.
Absolutely. Yeah, great point. Yes, of course. It has huge effects. Conscious listening has many beneficial effects on body, mind, spirit at many, many levels. And so whole body listening is the ultimate, really. It's how we used to be. It's how we survived and became who we are today as a species. And the intellect is relatively young and very bullyish, if you allow it to be. So it's much more ancient to absorb, to receive. I don't know about you, Ebby, but I notice that people don't receive very easily at all. I offer people things to download. I offer people the chance of a free conversation. No, they're not.
There's so much. I think there's so much. And I think the big worry now is like there's all this fear being banded around about AI taking over.
Yeah.
And that's not really true. I remember in 2000, all computers are coming in, people are not going to have jobs. Yeah, it's just going to change because if we're embodied, AI cannot take over the human unless we allow it. So if we're becoming more like AI, then surely they're going to take over. But if we are embodied, they can't. So AI can be used as a tool to help us in what we do. but it can't replace us because it can't do the whole body listening. It
Mm,
can't do all those things that we can do,
mm,
which when we put into AI can help us in what we do. So it can you be used as a tool, but it
mm.
cannot really replace us unless we
No.
become like it, which is where we're going if we're not doing the full embody whole body listening. We're not being grounded in ourselves. We're becoming more like AI as opposed to the other way around.
Well, maybe some people are, and at the end of the day, we have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
We have a choice because we are the supreme rulers of our minds. We can say, no, I don't want to become like AI, and I want to enhance my humanity, and that's really what embodiment is all about. It's
Yeah.
really this unique opportunity for us all to benefit from the help AI can give us and the automation and so on, and take more time to become more sincere, more connected, more natural. Yeah, that's
Good
it.
notes, Ligo.
Yeah,
More
I mean,
sincere, more natural.
yes, and I can see that some people will get sucked in because they live in their intellectual mind. They don't ever visit their bodies. So this is why this mission is so important. Okay, good point. AI is important here. And I think we can probably just move on to the last slide, just about got time. Here's a reset, Ebby, for you. Okay. And this is
Oh,
60 seconds, really easy. 1, ground your feet. Start with your feet always, or your sitting bones. So if you're sitting, make sure your bones are really sitting into the chair. Use gravity. 2, soften your eyes. Let your eyelids get a little heavy. Just smile. That always widens your eyes and widens the field. Breathe into the back ribs. So if you're sitting up straight, just breathe into the back of you. Have a sense of your diaphragm working at the back, behind your heart. Okay. 4, turn towards the speaker. Make sure you're full on with the speaker. 5, offer some kind of encouragement, which comes from your heart. And also, it's important to paraphrase what the speaker has said or what is going to say in a nice concise line, a kind of sum up, and ask one clarifying question. That's all. And if you prepare in that way, those 7 points, then you'll have a really smooth interaction. Bringing my AI mirror here, my product AI mirror helps people through Japanese language to notice certain things. So kizuku is about waking up. Hiku is about softening and widening. Utsusu is about reflecting on the important points. And shu is about responding with no urgency whatsoever. So, we can use Lodestone to help us with this. And just the final slide. And these are just the questions. There are questions here you can think about. We don't have time to approach them right now. And in hybrid meetings, you might come up with things like this. So if you're interested in getting these questions, just DM me and I'll send them to you. In fact, I'll send you the slide deck and then you can see the whole thing. And my parting word is you're aiming for a discussion, not coverage. Discussion is give and take. And I think that's really, really important when we are interacting online. be prepared to put your ego aside. You may not be able to follow your plan. So say, okay, move aside, ego. Let's go with the flow. Let's go where this person is leading me. Let me enjoy joining their flow. And that is really receiving. You're receiving that person's flow, and you invited them maybe to join you. And so you have to gracefully join them in their flow and hope that they will ask you back and they can join you in your flow, and so on. This is the give and take I think we need to really think about more when we are online. Amy, it's been superb. As always, you ask fabulous questions and get me really inspired. Next week, any ideas about what we should move on to next?
Ooh, that's you put me on the spot there.
Good.
I don't know. Maybe we can talk about the effects of burnout. I don't know. We can think about that. Yeah, we can think about something and then come up with something.
I've got
maybe talk about a little bit about the games.
Yes, we can go more into games. Yeah. I've got an agenda. It's following my book, Table of Contents. So I think the next point is more work on the voice. Yeah, the voice. So, in real kind of interaction, real speaking, and how to get more in touch with a natural voice. So
I could do with that, and I'm sure a lot of people can, because voice is, getting the right tone, the right level. Because mine just kind of comes out.
Yeah, again, that's a perfect example.
Yes,
the limited mind jumps in, but if you are really connected to your voice, then you're right back in your anchorage. So yeah, maybe we'll go on to that next week.
Yeah, good one.
Okay, super. Okay, thanks so much for joining us today. Oh, I didn't turn on comments. Let's see if we've got any comments.
Thank you, and bye for now. Anyway.
Okay, and we've got Hamid. Actually, Hamid here is here. Hamid, bienvenue. Oui, elle est super bien. Arigato gozaimasu. Merci beaucoup. Sorry, I'm speaking Japanese now. Mixing Japanese and French, I'm sorry. And English. Okay, so this week, another final message. Don't take yourself so seriously. Laugh at yourself. Human beings are absurd in many ways. So just have a good laugh. If you make a mistake, smile. Let it go by smiling. It's great. Makes life much more bearable. Okay, I'm going to bring this to an end. Maybe you stay there and we'll have another little chat. Bye for now, everybody. And we'll see you next week, same time, same place for Embodiment Q&A. Bye for now. Bye.